Yeah.
Yeah. How are you in school? Good in school?
Good. All A's except in gym.
In gym?
Yeah.
You're a child after my own heart, I have to say. But your parents are athletes.
Yeah, so I think that's enough in our family.
Yeah.
When Anton was 8 years old, because I know exactly when I was very sick, and he would come, and every day, dear mommy, I love you. I wish for you to feel million, trillion, billion times better tomorrow. Dear mommy, I love you so very much. I adore you. I wish for you to feel billion, trillion times better tomorrow. And that was like 20. Those type of cards, he would just slip under the door or kiss me and do that. And then when I got good already, I was already went to work, he would just write, dear mommy, I love you, love Antosha. Dear mommy, I love you, love Antosha. Just like this. This is like, that's a treasure. It's no gifts better than those.
I'm very fortunate because my mom, you know, she was teaching all the time. She still choreographs, but she would literally, like, in her skating suit, take me to auditions after work, and she just believed that this is what I loved. So I owe her everything, really, just for believing in me, you know.
Dear Mamula and Papula, every day in Tokyo, I think about how terrifying it was for you to come to a country where you did not speak a word of the language with the intention of starting a new life. How frightening it was to leave a home with everything and come to the United States with nothing, not knowing what tomorrow will bring, how life will turn out. I think about the courage it took to dedicate yourself to succeeding in this new country and building a home for yourselves and your child. And I think about how you did it so that I could have a better life, despite what the sacrifice might mean to you. I always worry that I somehow can't express my appreciation, so I try to write these notes expressing that I do think about and appreciate and respect and thank God for you and everything that you have given me. As I write this, I see the trips to Toys R Us, to the zoo. I see the video cameras and all the attention that I got. I wish I could take all of these things and put them together and give them back to you with all the love that you gave me. I love you so much, and I hope, even though sometimes I'm too stupid, selfish, or ignorant to show it, you know this. I wish for you to be happy and healthy for another million, billion, trillion years. I wish for us to be able to celebrate all together for all of those happy and healthy years.
I'm so grateful. Я знаю, сколько... А не знаю, я тебя так люблю, ты знаешь, что
I love you. Love, Antosha.
He would look down his feet for the first 6 months, I would say. Wouldn't look up. He'd get very scared. And all we had to do was instill self-imagination, self-esteem for the first 6 months. And then a light bulb went on.
73 years ago, there once lived a man, and his name was Mr. Picanus. He was the greatest artist ever. He painted Picasso sometimes, even could be like him.
We did a lot of improv. Like, we would do things like where he would give us an assignment to come home and make something. And I actually enjoyed those moments more than I did where we had to learn scenes. And because at the time, scenes were just lines to me. They weren't really characters. Whereas these things were, I could just create stuff kind of like I did at home.
He spoke Russian and English. Anton was like a sponge. Whatever you told him, he could remember like forever.
Chris Carr said to me, he doesn't need classes. You know what? He truly needs to go for auditions. And I said, what kind of auditions? I'm working full time. I can't do it. And he said, do you have an agent? I said, no, and we don't want any agent. We're just here for fun. Then he said, it's an audition without no agents. Just go. Let's get the book, How to Play Guitar. And he started playing guitar so good.
This blues for you, Mom. Mommy, I love you so, Mommy. Oh, Mommy, I love you a lot. So beautiful, Mom. So beautiful, Mom.
I never met anyone quite like him in the sense that there were these sort of classic childlike qualities about him and very old qualities, and they just coexisted. That is, he had a curiosity that with most people degrades over time.
Love you, baby.
But not with him.
Thank you, Mr. Duchovny. It's really great to be here. I'm not really good at taking compliments, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. More than anything, my parents, who are always like, symbols of strength and for me, and have always shown me a lot of love and kindness since I was tiny. Thank you.
Hey.
Dear Mamula, you are my best friend, the closest person to me in the world, and the most amazing woman that I know. Your soul, through your beautiful eyes, shines. It does not matter whether you are laughing or yelling, regardless of whether I'm smart enough to show it. I always, always, always have so much respect for who you are. For how strong, smart, wonderful, talented, interesting, intelligent, and just how, your least favorite word, cool you are. Thank you for every hug, kiss, smile, and every bowl of soup. You are an extraordinary, charming woman, and you have an equally extraordinary husband, and a son that is your baby, as long as he lives. Love, Antosha.
I remember I was a little intimidated by Irina, just a little bit. We were maybe 11 or 12, and we'd be looking at something on the internet, something inappropriate or whatever, and then, we'd hear from downstairs, Antosha! And he'd yell back, "Что?" What? That's when our hormones just started kicking in. So we were just totally girl crazy.
You will, and it will be the kiss by which all others in your life will be judged.
Dear Journal, today I have my first kiss. This was my first kiss with Mika. It was okay. I kind of liked it. It was very nice. And I did it twice. I hope it happens many more times.
I said, Anton, what you've got to do is wait for the good scripts, the thing that's going to launch you to the next step. And he said to me, no, I want to do everything. I said, no, you can't do everything, because there's a lot of junk out there. You don't want to be part of it. No, I want to do everything. I don't care. I want to act.
Anton, where he was kind of on his own for the first time, but he was still really attached to his parents, really attached to his mother.
And I used to be so kind of jealous of that. We just hadn't talked about parents because we were just teenagers. We were just hanging out. We didn't talk about our parents. And then his mom was coming into town and he was so excited. And I was like, are you seriously excited your mom is coming? I start getting a pre-migraine when my mother's coming into town. I love her, but I need you to write me something.
Everybody was away from their families. So something very beautiful happened where we all just sort of came together.
He surprised me every time he spoke about something. I thought, what a bright, intelligent human being.
Anton and me and Sophia every weekend would be out on the sailboat in the harbor in Vancouver.
It was so particular and so interesting.
I have this great picture of me on the boat. I'm falling asleep on Anton's lap. And Anton's with his sweatshirt, and I can tell he's God damn. I've probably been asleep for an hour on his lap, but he doesn't want to move me. It's really cute. I got that one.
There is this thing, you pretend to be a family over a number of years, and at some point you kind of are.
He couldn't. He went to my father, and I said, well, ask JJ, is my accent is good? And he said, Mom, No, when he was business, he was saying, Mom, your accent is not good for this. I need grandpa accent.
Excuse me.
Sorry, Mr. Chekhov, what is it?
Based on the Narada's course from Wilkin.
I remember being with him on set and doing a classic J.J. Abrams sort of 19-hour day. And he looked so tired. I remember he was trying to say this very complicated speech about dropping out of warp and hiding behind Saturn. And his little eyes were so sort of red. He never looked younger to me than on that day.
If we adjust our shield frequencies, we should not be detected.
Wait a minute, kid. How old are you?
17, sir.
I can certainly say for the group of people that got to work with him, he might have been the youngest person on camera, but he was, I think, the person that sort of quietly, without even realizing it, I think, challenging all of us to be as good as he was.
It's an interesting line to follow because you pick and choose and you see what you can bring that's your own. And then I met with Walter Koenig and we had this talk and he said, it looks like you guys are being really smart about this and doing your own thing. And yet, I see traces of myself in what you're doing. And it was really great for me to hear that because I was so nervous about meeting him. And he seemed so pleased.
Here we are, we're all coming together to revamp this old franchise that had moved people for so long. And Anton was the youngest one in the cast. And his angle about we have to do this right, and if not, people will be unhappy. We're talking about peace, it was about friendship, it was about ending war. And I remember thinking, my God, this kid is so deep. I gotta get myself in shape.
I play guitar and Anton played incredible guitar, and so, we'd inevitably kind of bring our guitars to set and tool around, and Anton in all of his frustrating humility, he never wanted to pat himself on the back, it seemed like. He'd say, well, I don't really know, how to play all that much, and then he'd whip out some Mississippi John Hurt or something that was just I've just been playing this for a little bit.
I remember getting into this very heated debate about the merits of Bob Dylan versus Simon and Garfunkel. He really knew what he was talking about, no matter what it was, and there was some real beauty in that.
We went back to some, shooting on set, and then going back to the trailers, and I said, you want to come in and jam? He's like, no, I gotta go back to, it turns out he's translating this Russian novel that's this big, a Russian philosophy tract. He's making notes on this thing and translating it at the same time. He's, mind you, 17 years old.
It was so funny. He didn't consider himself a musician, and he didn't consider himself a singer. And he was a damn great musician, but he was a little bit, I think, self-conscious. He always wanted to be the best at what he did.
I wanted to set it in a cemetery. So we were walking around the cemetery and we were having this conversation. We were doing the scene. And then in the middle of the scene, Anton was just like, I don't want to be here.
I don't like walking on people's graves.
No, walking on people's graves. This is the bit in between the graves.
No, I don't like this.
And Felicity's trying to do the scene, and we're shooting, and she's like, oh no, let's stay, let's talk, let's sit down. And he's like, no, I gotta go, I gotta go.
This is freaking me out.
Why?
I don't know.
I forgot about it, and then after watching it, I was like, oh my God, he was so in tune to this frequency. He had this radar for energy and for feeling and stuff, and he was just in touch with that side of the universe in a way.
He was getting very worried about himself because he started reading blogs, CF blogs. He started reading other people with CF and felt very disturbed.
Hi, Mary. I've been feeling up and down. Increased airway clearance right now to 4 times a day. My folks have been doing the percussion on my side and my back 1 to 2 times a day. I've been exercising a minimum of 45 minutes a day. Got to get it into this idiot brain of mine that I have to fight this thing. Had a really heavy feeling night a few days back where I looked up CF on Instagram and I saw the kids that are fighting so hard and proud to do it, calling themselves fighters. And I was really moved. I've always wanted to shy away from feeling proud that I fight this thing all the time, so I've avoided fighting it. But I gotta be proud, and I gotta tell myself that most people never have to deal with this sort of stuff, and I should be proud of myself that I man up and do. as long as I actually man up and do. And if I don't, that's a crime against the potentiality and against all those that do. Anyway, ranting, thank you again for all your help. Speak soon, Anton.
You know, on the back of the hat, it was these words, incurable, life-threatening disease. I was worried for him every single minute. And I felt so bad for him that he had to do all this. Why my son has to do it? And then he would look at me and he'd say, Mamuля, please do not worry. It's okay, I can handle it. Trust me.
Also a director that loves improv, and the idea of someone suffering, doing something that is unfair to people that they really care about is something that sort of transcends that format as a kind of human experience.
I told him he has to be always on alert. This illness in there, and you have to be careful. Just because he was not a Superman, he wants to do something, and sometimes he did, which he shouldn't.
We're doing this 9-day sequence of vampires on fire. He's like, can I be on fire? And I'm like, let me ask the stunt guys. And I'm like, is it safe for Anton to be on fire? And they're like, yeah, it's safe. And I'm like, okay. Suddenly the studio calls, what the hell are you guys doing? Burning our lead actor.
Because of what he went through his whole life with his disease, it's why he wanted to get a lot done. He didn't want to let it take him down, you know? Like he would talk about it with me like there was this beast inside of him, you know?
Excuse me. I finished 2 films over the summer, and I'm starting work on another film, and then there might be another, an improvised film.
He was always going further than the rest of us. What he was thinking about, what he was looking at, what he was interested in, what was the next project. He had this immigrant mentality to a point that I think that he needed to work rather than sit still in the confidence of his talent. I don't think he gave himself much of a break.
He'd go to very risky projects, and then he'd do something that was more like a job. He was so intense about his quest to really find situations that would challenge him. He's very practical, he was very pragmatic about career stuff, but at the same time, he deeply felt a duty to educate himself and to challenge himself.
Anton and I became friends. We would probably spend 3, 4, 5 hours together talking about life. He was an old soul, you know, and I, you know, don't talk in terms of old souls and stuff like that. But I found myself treating him as a contemporary. I remember he had no desire to be like the flavor of the month. He said, I'd rather work with Jim Jarmusch.
I was 14 when I worked with him, but then, yeah, he and I were really good friends for like 2 years. And then he kind of like broke my heart. I was so kind of baffled by how good he was in working with him. And then subsequently just like couldn't be around him.
We met at Subway and we sat for like 3 hours just talking. Kind of went from 0 to 100 and stayed there for a long time.
Sophie was only serious girlfriend, nicest girl, and they were young, and she was not patient enough. And for him, films was priority.
Very serious for both of us, and pretty much broke up because we were just too young, unfortunately.
He hit me up after he had his heart broken and was like, hey, can we like talk? I just kind of figured out like what that actually feels like, and I'm so sorry. And I was like, dude, it's fine. Like what? Like literally, we were tiny children. But for someone to call someone and be like, hey, that thing that you went through, I had no idea, but now I do, and I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, it's fine. Like,
actor, after friends found him pinned between his 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee and a fence at his home.
Here's a guy who struggled with his lungs for as long as I knew him. And he's pinned so he can't breathe. Like, out of all fucking things, that's it? And you go to the house and you look at the gate and you're like, this little thing right here caught the last moments of my friend, this little spot in the universe.
I don't want him ever to be forgotten.
Our dear, dear son, we wish you all the best life in this. All your hopes, dreams, wishes, praise will come true. Absolutely for sure. Because you deserve it.
I've never, I mean, everybody loves their children, but I don't think anybody really loved their child like they loved Anton.
He's still with us. I cannot say he's gone. And I hope we will see him soon. That's what I'm trying to tell Irina all the time. Listen, one day behind us, one day we're closer to Antosha.
Victor said to me, let's pretend Anton went for a long, long shoot. He just went to shoot movie. And I said, I can't pretend like this, Victor. Because he would call a million times. It would be not true.
Мамуля, с днем рождения, любимая моя. Дорогая моя, я тебя обожаю, чтобы ты была здорова.